Imagine living in a house made entirely of glass. Every wall is transparent. Every movement you make is visible to the street. You wake up, and the world is watching. You eat, and the world is judging the contents of your plate. You work, you speak, you struggle. And there is always an audience, sometimes clapping, sometimes jeering, but always there. After a while, you stop living for yourself. You start living for the glass. You adjust your posture not because you are uncomfortable, but because it looks better from the outside. You choose your words not because they are true, but because they will be understood by the people staring in. This is the modern condition. We have voluntarily built a panopticon, a prison where the inmate creates his own surveillance. We call it staying connected. We call it building a personal brand. We call it being social. But the Stoics would call it slavery. The exhaustion you feel isn't physical. You aren't tired from work. You are tired from the performance. You are tired of maintaining the avatar of yourself that you have sold to the world. What happens if you shatter the glass? What happens if you pull the curtains, lock the door, and for 6 months, simply cease to exist for them? They call it monk mode. But that is a trendy label for a very ancient, very dangerous idea, the deliberate withdrawal from the tribe to save the soul. The Stoic philosophers had a word for this anachoresis. It refers to a withdrawal, a retreat, but not a retreat in the sense of a defeated army running from the battlefield. It is the retreat of the craftsman into the workshop. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, was the most visible man on earth. He had no privacy. He was surrounded by sycophants, enemies, and the endless demands of the state. Yet in his meditations, he writes about finding a retreat within himself. He realized that the chaos of the world, the rumors, the wars, the opinions could only touch him if he opened the door to let them in. But here is the psychological reality we must face. You cannot find that retreat within yourself if you are constantly flooded by the outside. The modern mind is like a cup that is being poured into faster than it can be emptied. You're drowning in other people's thoughts, other people's anxieties, and other people's definitions of success. To disappear for 6 months is not about running away to a mountain cave. It is about severing the feedback loop. It is about turning off the signal that says, "I am here, please perceive me." It is a radical act of reclaiming your own consciousness. But be warned when you stop performing, the silence that follows is not peaceful. At first, it is terrifying. The first thing that happens when you disappear is withdrawal. Not from substances, but from validation. We are biologically wired to fear exclusion. In the ancient world, to be ignored by the tribe meant death. So when you deliberately step back, when you delete the apps, decline the invitations, and stop broadcasting your life, your reptile brain screams. It tells you that you are becoming irrelevant. It tells you that if you are not seen, you do not exist. This is the avatar dying. The avatar is the construct you have built for public consumption. It feeds on likes, on nods of approval, on being in the loop. When you cut off the supply, the avatar begins to starve. This is painful. You will feel a profound sense of loneliness. You will feel the urge to post a status update just to prove you are still alive. The Stoic embraces this starvation. Epictetus taught that if you wish to improve, you must be content to appear foolish and stupid to others. You must be willing to be a nobody. By disappearing, you are testing a terrifying hypothesis. Am I enough without their attention? If you need the world to witness your grind for it to matter, you're not disciplined. You're just a performer. The true test of character is what you do in the dark when the applause has died down and there is no one left to impress but yourself. Once the noise of the external world fades, you encounter the second phase, the mirror. Blaise Pascal famously said, All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Why is it so hard? Because when the distraction stops, the suppressed thoughts rise. When you disappear for 6 months, you're not just working on your goals. That is the productivity porn version of this concept. The reality is much grittier. You're finally meeting the stranger living in your skin. You will come face to face with your regrets, your anxieties, the lies you have been telling yourself about why you aren't where you want to be. The noise of the world was a convenient distraction from this confrontation. This is the shadow work Carl Jung spoke of. In the silence of isolation, the shadow emerges. A weak man runs back to the crowd to escape it. A Stoic sits with it. You use this time to audit your mind. You realize that 90% of your desires weren't even yours. They were mimetic desires copied from the people you follow. You wanted the car because he had the car. You wanted the status because they applauded the status. In the vacuum of solitude, false desires wither. Only what is true to your nature survives the drought. You stop building a life that looks good, and you start building a life that feels solid. The final transformation during this period of disappearance is a shift in your relationship with time. Society operates on urgent time. Everything is breaking news. Everything is a crisis. Everything must happen now. This urgency is artificial. It is designed to keep you reactive. If you are reactive, you are controllable. When you step out of the current, you enter deep time. Think of the craftsman in his workshop or the monk in his cell. They do not look at the clock every 5 minutes. They are not refreshing a feed. They are engaged in deep work. Seneca warned us that life is long enough if we know how to use it, but we waste it in busy idleness. We confuse motion with progress. During your 6 months of silence, you accomplish more by doing less. You pick 1 or 2 mountains to climb: your health, a project, a skill, and you climb them with a slow, terrifying consistency. There is no one to tell you, "Good job," halfway up the mountain. There is no dopamine hit from sharing a progress pic. There is just the work. This destroys the instant gratification loops in your brain. You relearn the art of patience. You learn to endure the boredom of mastery. You become dangerous not because you are aggressive, but because you no longer need the world to speed up or slow down for you. You have your own rhythm. You have become autarkic, self-sufficient. There is a fantasy that after 6 months of disappearing, you will re-emerge like a superhero. You will kick down the door, unveil your new physique, launch your new business, and everyone will cheer. The revenge arc. But that is not the Stoic way. That is just another performance delayed for dramatic effect. The truth is much quieter and perhaps more unsettling. If you do this right, if you truly disappear, if you truly kill the avatar and sit in the silence, you won't want to make a big entrance when you return. You will come back, but you will be different. You will feel alien to your old friends. The things they stress about will seem trivial to you. The gossip they share will sound like noise. You will see the strings on the puppets, and you will no longer want to play on that stage. You might find that you prefer the silence. You will walk through the world, but you will no longer be of it. You will carry the solitude with you like a secret weapon. You will be polite, you will be functional, but you will be detached. The glass house is shattered. You are no longer living for the view from the street. The question isn't whether you can survive 6 months of silence. The question is, once you taste real freedom, will you ever be able to go back to the noise?